So people all the time complain about being uncomfortable on a bike. So I wanted to just make a quick video, very simple. There's a lot to a bike fitting, but simple things that might help you be a little bit more comfortable the next time you ride. So, or setting up to start riding to begin with. There are only 5 things or places where you touch the bicycle. Your 2 hands, your 2 feet, and your butt. So that's all we're going to talk about today, and just some simple things with those. So let's start with the hoods. You spend 90% of your time riding with your hands on the hoods. And yet when they come from the factory, generally the hoods are lined straight ahead. All you got to do is think about when you stand natural like this. Do you stand like this? No, you stand like this. And so if you bring your hands forward, the natural position for your hands is like this, not like this. So, do your hands go numb? Do you have pain in your hands? Yes, a lot of times. All you got to do is pull the hood covers up. There's an Allen screw right there. Loosen that up, and you can twist them in. You see how mine are turned in? Just slightly. Just loosen them up, get it to where it feels good, tighten them back down. And then you're not riding like this. You're riding where your hands naturally fall, that natural position. So that's the hands. Now let's go to the feet. The cleat should clip in where it's generally in the ball of the foot. It comes out, that knob from your big toe right there. That's where the stem that goes into the crank will be. Fore and aft, you got to play with it to make sure you're in the right position. But the key here is make sure that your foot is in the right position going forward. You don't want to be pigeon-toed. That'll start bothering your ankles, okay? So, and you don't want to be out, or your heel will be scrubbing against the crank or the side. So get in a position left to right where it's very comfortable for you to be rotating your foot around the crank, because you do a lot of turns, a lot of rotations in a ride. So that's the hands and the feet. Now the saddle. And there's a lot in terms of fore and aft on the saddle and everything else, but I want to talk about 2 things with the saddle. 1, the width, and number 2, the tilt, because those are 2 things that really affect your comfort or the lack thereof. Width. About 20 years ago, I got a professional bike fitting. They measured my sit bones and said, you're a 142. That's 142 centimeter saddle. That's the width of the saddle. Okay? So I rode uncomfortable on a 142 for a long, long time until finally I was like, this is just not right. I can feel my sit bones on the very edge. And they did say I was kind of in between. I went to a 152 wider, boom, much more comfortable. I even ride a 155 now, and I love the 155. It's very comfortable. So you want to make sure your sit bones are in that nice cushy part of the saddle there, and you've got the right width. The right width makes a huge difference when it comes to comfort. The last thing is the tilt of the saddle. So 2 things here you'll notice. I like my saddle pretty flat, but if your saddle is tilted a little bit forward, it rotates the hips forward. When you rotate the hips, all the weight goes into the arms. So you've got an improper distribution of weight. Where are you going to notice that? In your hands, arms, and neck. All right, so when your hips are rotated forward because you got too much forward tilt, all your weight's going to your hands and arms. Hands are going to get numb, they're going to hurt, your shoulders, your neck, all that weight's up here now, right? And that's because of the way you're sitting. Get too far back or not flat enough, and you're going to feel the edge of that saddle where your hamstring meets your butt. You'll feel it almost digging in. That's too far back. So there's I'm talking micro adjustments to find that spot where when you're riding, you don't feel like it's cutting into where your hamstring meets your butt, but your weight's not way forward. Just little micro adjustments. So the tilt's important, the width's important on the saddle. The hands, get them rotated into a comfortable position where it's natural to just sit there like you would stand. And then the feet, make sure they're in the right direction, natural for you. And we're all made a little bit different. You see people walk and their feet just naturally turn different. It's going to be a little bit different for everyone else, but find comfort for you. Apply these things, very simple, very easy, and it'll at least make the next ride a little bit more comfortable.